This is a paper I'm currently working on with Astri Syse from Statistics Norway, and it's about how or whether changed emigration can be a remedy against low or negative population growth and aging. And I guess most of you know the background well. Population decline is a topic of great concern in many countries, and the concern is usually linked also to population aging, and the figure here shows the correlation between aging and population growth. In this presentation, I will talk about how changing immigration can affect both these challenges, aging and low or declining population growth. To counteract negative effects of depopulation and aging, demographic remedies such as increased fertility and/or increased immigration are often proposed. But substantial increases in long-term fertility have proved difficult to achieve, and to increase immigration is politically controversial and may have limited effects in the long run. And for demographic completeness, we also include mortality, because increased mortality means lower aging, but this is not on the political agenda. But what has surprised us a bit is how seldom emigration has been discussed in this context at the national level. We don't know much about what effects less emigration will have on aging or on population size. So in this paper, we explore how reduced emigration may increase population growth and mitigate aging, with Norway as a case. So here you see the map and you see Norway, and the figure up to your left shows the population of Norway. The solid line shows what has happened until now, and the dotted line is projected in the official Norwegian population projections main alternative. And as you see, we don't expect the population in Norway, but we expect the population growth to decline quite clearly in the future. Further down, you see the old age dependency ratio, which we define as the number of persons above age 65 divided by the number of persons 20 to 64 years old. And you see that this one is projected to increase quite a lot in the years to come. And this has caused worries for politicians in Norway, who are also worried about the declining fertility rates of Norway. It has declined from about a TFR of about 2 children per woman in 2009 to 1.5 in 2020. And the last figure shows immigration and emigration to and from Norway. Immigration has been relatively high the last decade, as shown in the bottom figure there, and immigration is a big topic in the Norwegian public debate. However, emigration has also increased, as you see from the darker lines in the same figure, and the dotted lines here also shows projected immigration and emigration in the decades to come, and emigration is expected to continue to stay relatively high. All the projections here are sort of benchmarks that we use in our analysis, where we see how changed emigration affects both the predicted old age dependency ratio and the population size. So what we do is to run the population projections for Norway with a hypothetical scenario where we reduce future emigration by 50%. And then we explore the future effects on the old age dependency ratios and population growth compared with the main alternative in the official projections. And we use Statistics Norway's model for the Norwegian population projections, where emigration is calculated using observed emigration rates for different groups, such as by age and sex, immigrant background, and some other characteristics. And in this hypothetical scenario, the rates are all reduced by 50% throughout the projection period. We also check how much fertility, immigration, or mortality would need to change to yield the same effect on the old age dependency ratios. So to go straight to the results. Here you can see what happens to aging in Norway if emigration from Norway is reduced by 50% in the future. The figure shows the old age dependency ratio, and well, we don't use the full x-axis, so we sort of zoom in to see the results more clearly. And the gray line at the top shows the main alternative from the last official population projections. This is the same as what you saw on the last slide. The dotted black line shows what happens with the projected population if all emigration rates for all years are reduced by 50%. So in 2060, where you see a small arrow, should be up, right up here, the old age dependency ratio is reduced from 0.55 elderly per working age to 0.52. So the first takeaway point is that even such a dramatic reduction in emigration, which of course is purely hypothetical, will not stop aging in Norway. Although the dotted line is a bit lower than the gray line, the slope is still clearly increasing. Our second aim was to investigate how much the other demographic components would need to change in order to achieve the same reduction in old age dependency ratios. And here is what we found. Total fertility rate must be raised with 15%, which equals a quarter of a child, or immigration must be up to 25%, or mortality rates increased by 20%, compared to the assumptions that are used in the official main projection alternative. This slide shows which effect the different scenarios, the same as we had in the previous slide, would have on population size. And as you see, the dotted line, which shows the effect of reduced emigration, has the highest population growth. Actually, it would increase the total population in 2060 by 10% more than in the official predictions. So why all these different scenarios up here have the same effect on old age dependency ratio around 2060, the effect on population size is quite different. And the same is seen if we look at the projected age distribution, as you see here. And here we also added the age distribution in 2020, so you can see the situation as of now. The takeaway points are still the same. First, none of these scenarios will stop aging in Norway. As you can see, if you compare the line for 2020 with all the other lines, particularly among the oldest. And second, emigration has the strongest effect on population size in all age groups, apart from the youngest age groups where fertility has the strongest effect. And one obvious reason for this is that people emigrating from Norway are on average somewhat older than those who immigrate, as you can see from the figure right up above me. And some of those emigrating are also above age 65. So if emigration is reduced, there will be more people in Norway also above age 65. And that would need to be compensated for by a strong general reduction in emigration for all ages. So only 4 factors, as you know, determine the future size and composition of a country's population given its age and sex distribution. That is fertility, mortality, immigration, and emigration. And we show how the effects of changes in each of these components can be compared in magnitude. And as compared to changes in the other components, reduced emigration has a stronger effect on population growth than on aging. And then I have to be the first one to admit that the changes we apply in these first analyses are pronounced and not very plausible. I mean, cutting emigration by 50%, how can you possibly do that? But the relation between them can anyway provide useful information about changed emigration as a remedy against depopulation and as an anti-aging formula. Further work, because this is still work in progress, includes making different changes in the emigration for different subgroups by, for instance, age or between immigrants and natives. And we will also discuss how feasible it is for politicians in the real world to implement policy measures to change emigration. So in the future, we will further work. We will use a framework like this and play around with the Norwegian population projection model and running the models with only changed emigration for certain subgroups, such as only the young people or only the elderly, only the immigrants, only the natives. And the arrows that you see here, they are just based on our expectations and will be better quantified when the last analyses are done. And then we will also discuss, let's see up here, how feasible each of these measures could be in real life and how how possible it would be for politicians to actually change the immigration for these groups. And as you see, we have started looking at literature, and it doesn't seem to be very easy for politicians to change the immigration a lot, but there may be measures that they can use. And you see that the question mark, usually we have 2 question marks, but for immigrants, we have only 1 question mark. And that is because immigrants, to a higher extent than others, are affected by rules on, for instance, immigration. So some immigrants have temporary residence permits and they need to emigrate because they are not allowed to stay in Norway anymore. These are rules that politicians can affect. Yeah, that's it. Here is the literature I referred to. Thank you.